The saga of the Burmese python's arrival in Florida is a complex narrative, shaped by decades of ecological shifts and the unpredictable consequences of human curiosity. In the vast primeval expanse of the Everglades, where ancient waters flow through a mosaic of sawgrass and cypress, a silent invader began its journey, one that would forever alter the balance of this unique wilderness. The python's story is not merely one of introduction, but of adaptation, proliferation, and the relentless march of an apex predator into a land unprepared for its presence. Native to the lush forests and swamps of Southeast Asia, Burmese pythons were first brought to Florida as part of the burgeoning exotic pet trade in the late 20th century. Their striking appearance and docile nature as juveniles made them popular among collectors. But as these snakes matured, their formidable size and strength quickly became unmanageable for many owners. Some pythons were released deliberately into the wild, while others escaped through damaged enclosures or during natural disasters. Each escapee became a pioneer, venturing into the unfamiliar wilds of South Florida. The pivotal turning point arrived in 1992, when Hurricane Andrew unleashed its fury upon South Florida. The storm's destructive winds and torrential rains shattered animal facilities, scattering countless exotic species into the wild. Amid the chaos, Burmese pythons found refuge in the intricate waterways and dense vegetation of the Everglades. Here they encountered a landscape rich in opportunity, warm, humid and abundant with prey, yet lacking the natural predators that once kept them in check in their native lands. In this new environment, the Burmese python's adaptability became its greatest asset. Females, capable of laying up to 100 eggs in a single clutch, ensured rapid population growth. The absence of significant predators allowed hatchlings to thrive, and the Everglades' labyrinthine waterways provided endless shelter. Over the years, the python's range expanded steadily, radiating outward from the southern tip of Florida and infiltrating new habitats with silent precision. As apex ambush predators, Burmese pythons began to exert a profound influence on the Everglades' food web. Their hunting strategy, marked by patience, stealth, and overwhelming strength, enabled them to decimate populations of small mammals, including marsh rabbits, raccoons, and opossums. Camera traps hidden deep within the wetlands captured these swift, almost spectral attacks, revealing a new and formidable force at work in the ecosystem. The python's impact soon reached the treetops. Native birds such as limpkins and herons suffered heavy losses as pythons raided nests and ambushed unsuspecting adults. Remote cameras and aerial drones now monitor these nesting sites, documenting shifts in bird behavior and the desperate strategies employed to evade this relentless new predator. The Everglades skies, once filled with the calls of wading birds, now echo with the silence left in the python's wake. Even the Everglades' most formidable native predators, such as alligators, have been drawn into this unfolding drama. Rare but dramatic confrontations between pythons and alligators are now the subject of intense scientific scrutiny. Researchers analyze every detail of these encounters, seeking to understand the shifting balance of power. The outcomes, often hidden beneath the water's surface, leave lasting marks on the ecosystem's fragile equilibrium. Rodent populations, including cotton rats and rice rats, have experienced dramatic declines in areas where python densities are highest. Scientists employ live trapping, radiotelemetry and environmental DNA sampling to track these elusive mammals, mapping their shrinking territories and altered behaviors as they struggle to survive in a landscape now dominated by a stealthy invader. The python's presence sends ripples through every layer of the ecosystem. As mammal and bird populations dwindle, the balance of aquatic life shifts. Fish and amphibian communities respond to the changing web of predation and competition, their subtle adaptations recorded in water samples and population surveys conducted throughout the wetlands. The Everglades, once a tapestry of interconnected life, now faces a new and unpredictable pattern. Yet the Everglades is not without its defenders. Red-shouldered hawks and great horned owls have adapted to prey on python hatchlings, refining their hunting strategies to exploit this new food source. These aerial hunters now play a vital role in the evolving drama, their keen senses and swift talons offering a glimmer of resistance against the python's relentless advance. The pythons themselves are evolving in response to their new environment. Some have shifted their hunting to the twilight hours, avoiding the peak activity of alligators and raptors. Others select more concealed nesting sites, camouflaging their eggs beneath layers of leaf litter and tangled roots. Researchers use advanced tracking methods, including radiotelemetry and environmental DNA, to uncover the secrets of these elusive reptiles and their remarkable survival strategies. The ecological consequences of the python's invasion are profound and ever-evolving. As native mammal and bird populations decline, the very structure of the Everglades is transformed. Seed dispersal patterns shift, invasive plants gain a foothold, and the landscape itself changes in response. Scientists employ satellite imagery, long-term field studies, and ecological modelling to map these transformations, striving to predict the future of this embattled ecosystem. The future of the Everglades now hangs in a delicate balance. Ongoing research explores innovative control methods, from scent-tracking detector dogs to genetic studies aimed at disrupting python reproduction. Scientists model countless scenarios. Will native predators adapt and reclaim their territory, or will the python's reign continue unchecked? In this living laboratory, every discovery shapes the next chapter, a relentless contest between invader and ecosystem, written in the shifting shadows of the wild. In the remote, labyrinthine waterways of the Florida Everglades, a subtle but profound mystery was taking shape. The landscape, a mosaic of sawgrass marshes and shadowy cypress domes, concealed a silent drama that would challenge scientists and reshape our understanding of predator and prey. At the Conservancy of Southwest Florida, researchers devised an innovative approach to track the elusive Burmese python. Under the careful direction of Dr. Ian Bartoszek, transmitters were surgically implanted into juvenile pythons, each device engineered to emit a unique radio signal capable of piercing through the dense, humid air and tangled vegetation. For weeks, the transmitters painted a vivid picture of the python's secretive movements, slipping through reed beds, coiling beneath the roots of ancient trees, and vanishing into the labyrinth of waterways. The signals, at first steady and predictable, began to flicker and disappear, one after another, as if the snakes themselves were being erased from the landscape. The abrupt loss of signal was not the result of technical failure. Instead, the transmitters were traced to astonishing new locations, deep within the bodies of the Everglades' most formidable native predators. The evidence pointed to a dramatic shift in the food web. X-ray animations revealed the truth with clinical clarity. Young pythons, once top-tier invaders, were being consumed whole. Their transmitters, still active, broadcast from within the digestive tracts of alligators, cottonmouths, bobcats, and even raptors. Each recovered signal told a story of predation. The transmitters, now silent witnesses, mapped a new reality. The Everglades' native hunters were adapting, learning to recognize and exploit the python as prey. To document these encounters, scientists deployed a sophisticated network of trail cameras. Hidden among the roots and reeds, these silent observers captured the nocturnal ballet of predator and prey, their lenses recording the unfolding drama in the darkness. The footage revealed a world rarely seen by human eyes. Cottonmouths, with lightning reflexes, struck from the shadows, swallowing young pythons whole. Panthers and bobcats stalked the moonlit banks, their senses attuned to the faintest rustle. Overhead, owls and hawks scanned the marsh for serpentine movement. The cottonmouth, a venomous pit viper, had seamlessly integrated the python into its diet. Alligators, with their crushing jaws, seized the opportunity to ambush the invaders. Even the elusive bobcat, a master of stealth, adapted its hunting strategy to target the young snakes. Across the Everglades, a diverse cast of predators began to exploit the new food source. Black bears investigated python trails along muddy banks, while hawks and owls adjusted their hunting patterns to intercept the serpents in open marshes. The Everglades food web, once destabilized by the python invasion, began to reconfigure itself. New predation links emerged, energy flowing through unexpected channels as native species adapted to the presence of the invader. For the first time since their arrival, pythons found themselves vulnerable. The landscape that once offered sanctuary now teemed with threats, each shadow concealing a potential hunter. In this unfolding ecological saga, nature's resilience was on full display. The Everglades, battered but unbroken, was recalibrating. With each vanished python, the balance tipped further toward recovery as native predators reclaimed their place atop the food chain. Deep within the labyrinthine waterways and tangled sawgrass of the Everglades, the cottonmouths, stealthy and venomous, were only the first to respond to the python invasion. But as the Burmese python population exploded, a remarkable transformation began to ripple through the ecosystem. The Everglades, once dominated by these invasive giants, became a battleground where native predators forged an unspoken alliance, each adapting in their own way to confront the new threat. Tracking data and field observations revealed a dynamic shift. Alligators, bobcats, and even the elusive black bear began to incorporate young Burmese pythons into their diets. Each species, driven by instinct and necessity, developed specialized tactics to exploit this abundant, if dangerous, food source. The Everglades was witnessing the birth of a coalition, one not of cooperation, but of converging interests. Alligators, the ancient titans of these wetlands, once found themselves at risk from the python's crushing coils. Now they have become opportunistic ambush predators, lurking motionless beneath the surface. With explosive power, they launch from the water, seizing unsuspecting snakes as they swim or bask along the muddy banks. Their jaws, evolved for bone-crushing force, make short work of even sizable pythons, restoring their dominance in the aquatic food chain. On land, the bobcat, nimble, silent and fiercely intelligent, has become a master of nest predation. Using acute senses and agile movements, bobcats locate python nests hidden beneath dense foliage. With calculated precision, they raid these nests, devouring the nutrient-rich eggs, and forcing even the most formidable mother pythons to abandon their clutches. This predation not only curbs python numbers at their source, but also disrupts the reproductive cycle of the invaders. Above the tangled canopy, the night belongs to the owls. With ghostly silence, barred and great-horned owls glide through the darkness, their keen vision detecting the slightest movement below. At dawn, red-shouldered hawks and other raptors take over, their razor-sharp talons snatching up juvenile pythons from the open marsh. These aerial hunters have quickly learned to recognize the serpentine invaders, integrating them into their hunting routines with lethal efficiency. Even the black bear, a rare but formidable presence in the Everglades, has joined the fray. With a powerful sense of smell, bears root out pythons concealed in the undergrowth, dispatching them with brute strength. Each predator, from the stealthy bobcat to the vigilant raptors and the mighty alligator, now plays a distinct role in this evolving food web, their behaviors shaped by the relentless pressure of survival. As these native hunters refine their strategies, the Everglades begins to heal. Species once driven to the brink, herons, turtles, even white-tailed deer, reclaim their habitats. The chorus of frogs grows louder, and the intricate tapestry of life, once frayed by python predation, is slowly rewoven. The balance of nature, though fragile, is being restored by the relentless adaptation of its wild inhabitants. Every python removed by a native predator is a small but significant victory. The ecosystem, battered yet resilient, fights to restore its delicate equilibrium. The food web, once distorted by the python's unchecked rise, now begins to stabilize as energy flows back into the native community. Evolution, once a slow and silent force, now accelerates before our eyes. Native predators are not only learning to hunt the invaders, they are passing these skills to the next generation. The rules of survival are being rewritten, forging a new alliance of instinct and adaptation. In this unfolding drama, the future of the Everglades is being shaped by the relentless ingenuity of its wildest residents. Deep within the labyrinthine wilderness of the Everglades, a master of stealth glides through the shadows. The Burmese python, cloaked in a mosaic of olive, brown and gold, becomes nearly invisible as it threads its muscular form through tangled roots and thick ferns. Each scale is a marvel of natural engineering, refracting the shifting sunlight and merging seamlessly with the dappled patterns of the swamp floor. Along its broad, wedge-shaped head, specialized heat-sensing pits form a living thermal map of the world. These remarkable organs detect the faintest traces of body heat, allowing the python to pinpoint the location of a marsh rabbit concealed beneath a thicket, or a raccoon pausing at the water's edge. Even in utter darkness, the python's perception is vivid, its environment painted in gradients of warmth and movement. With fluid precision, the python glides through sawgrass and shallow pools, its body undulating in perfect harmony with the landscape. The intricate patterns on its skin break up its outline, rendering it nearly invisible among the reeds and mud. Each movement is deliberate, minimizing disturbance, as the python reads the subtle vibrations of the earth and water, every tremor a potential sign of life. Unlike predators that chase or overpower, the python is an artist of patience. It settles into the undergrowth, motionless and silent, its body pressed flat against the moist earth. Hours may pass as it waits, every muscle relaxed, yet ready to unleash explosive power. The python's senses remain alert, attuned to the faintest rustle or scent carried on the humid air. When the moment arrives, the python's strike is a blur of precision. Its jaws snap forward, seizing its target with backward-curving teeth. Instantly, the python's coils encircle the prey, each loop tightening with mechanical efficiency. The constriction is swift and unyielding, cutting off circulation and air, ending the struggle in moments. The python's jaws, connected by elastic ligaments, expand to engulf prey many times wider than its own head. With slow, rhythmic contractions, it draws its meal inward, the prey vanishing inch by inch. The process is methodical, a testament to the python's evolutionary mastery, leaving behind only a faint bulge and the quiet of the swamp. Under the cover of night, the python's world transforms. Through the lens of night vision, we glimpse the ghostly silhouette gliding through the darkness, guided by invisible heat signatures. The sudden flash of a strike, the silent struggle, and the slow, deliberate act of feeding, all unfold in a realm hidden from human sight. After a successful hunt, the python seeks refuge in a secluded hollow or beneath a fallen log. Its body, now heavy with its recent catch, enters a state of profound stillness. For weeks, sometimes months, it will not hunt again, relying on stored energy as it digests in the humid, shadowed sanctuary of the swamp. This relentless efficiency has reshaped the Everglades ecosystem. Once abundant native animals, rabbits, opossums, even deer, have dwindled, their populations suppressed by the python's silent predation. The food web shifts, ancient balances disrupted as the python ascends to the apex, its presence felt in every corner of the wetlands. In the perpetual twilight beneath the cypress canopy, the Burmese python remains a phantom, unseen, unheard, yet ever present. It stalks the wild heart of Florida, an enigmatic force rewriting the story of the Everglades with every silent, calculated hunt. As dawn breaks over the vast Everglades, a fragile beauty emerges, one shaped by centuries of natural balance, now threatened by an unrelenting invader. The landscape, a living mosaic of water, grass and sky, awakens with the subtle stirrings of countless species, each playing a role in the intricate web of life. Burmese pythons, once strangers here, now number in the tens of thousands. Their silent movement through the reeds is nearly invisible, yet their presence is felt everywhere. Each year, their numbers swell as hatchlings vanish into the undergrowth. The python's expansion is relentless, their adaptability allowing them to exploit every corner of this watery wilderness. These serpents are masters of concealment, blending seamlessly into the tangled roots and shadowy waters. Their ability to evade detection makes them nearly impossible to control, even as they reshape the ecosystem around them. Native prey populations dwindle, and the balance that once defined these wetlands is thrown into uncertainty. Scientists have turned to technology, tagging and tracking individual pythons in hopes of understanding their secretive lives. Each signal, each movement, adds a piece to the puzzle, revealing how these predators navigate and survive in this watery labyrinth. Data streams in, mapping the python's expansion and offering rare glimpses into their hidden world. In recent years, a remarkable shift has begun. Native predators, once unfamiliar with this new rival, are learning to hunt and challenge the python. Bobcats, alligators, even panthers and owls have started to test the limits of their own adaptability. Each encounter is a lesson, each confrontation a step toward a new equilibrium. Yet the Everglades is a place of constant change. Storms sweep across the horizon, reshaping the land and testing every creature's resilience. The python's invasion is just the latest trial in a long history of survival and adaptation. Floods, droughts and hurricanes have always demanded flexibility from the life that calls this place home. Across the wetlands, tense encounters unfold. Each confrontation between predator and python is a test of instinct and evolution, a high-stakes battle that will shape the future of this ecosystem. The outcome of these struggles will determine which species thrive and which must adapt or fade away. As the sun rises once more, the Everglades stirs with life. Hope lingers in the resilience of its wild inhabitants, each adapting, each fighting for survival. The ecosystem's healing is not a return to the past, but a forging of new relationships and balances. Whether this ancient landscape can truly heal itself remains uncertain, but its story is far from over. The Everglades endures, shaped by every challenge, and in its persistence lies the promise of renewal. Gap 2s. Beneath the tranquil, glassy surface of the Everglades, a profound transformation is underway, one that is invisible to the casual observer, yet reshapes the very fabric of this ancient ecosystem. Each Burmese python that glides silently through the dense sawgrass acts as a catalyst, setting off a complex chain reaction that reverberates through every layer of the ecosystem, from the smallest insect to the apex predator. Gap 1.5s. Once, marsh rabbits thrived in the underbrush, weaving intricate paths between thickets, their presence a vital link in the food web. Raccoons, too, foraged along muddy banks, their nimble paws searching for crayfish and other aquatic delicacies, contributing to the delicate balance of predator and prey. But as pythons proliferate, the numbers of these small mammals have plummeted, leaving once bustling habitats eerily quiet and empty. Pythons, relentless and adaptive, have become dominant predators, consuming a wide array of native species and unraveling the intricate web of interdependence that has evolved over millennia. Camera traps now capture vacant clearings where rabbits once grazed, the absence of movement a stark reminder of the python's silent conquest. Opossums, once common foragers, have all but vanished from these grounds, their disappearance echoing through the ecosystem as a silent warning. Gap 1.5s. The python's appetite knows few bounds. Birds, their eggs, and even the vulnerable young of alligators fall prey, further destabilizing the intricate balance of life. Each meal removes a vital link from the food chain, setting off a cascade of consequences. As small mammals disappear, populations of ticks and other parasites surge, no longer kept in check by their natural hosts. This unchecked growth alters disease dynamics, increasing the risk of outbreaks that can affect both wildlife and the broader ecosystem. Gap 1.5s. Native predators, bobcats, foxes and raptors, are forced to expand their territories in search of dwindling prey, heightening competition and risking starvation or territorial conflict. Aquatic life, too, is affected. Turtles and wading birds, once secure in their nesting grounds, now face the constant threat of predation from lurking pythons. Python incursions disrupt nesting sites and feeding areas, reducing reproductive success and further diminishing native populations. Gap 1.5s. The ecosystem, however, is not static. It reacts, sometimes in surprising ways, as species adapt, compete or vanish. With fewer herbivores to graze them, certain plants begin to overrun the landscape, altering the structure and composition of the wetlands. Insects and invertebrates, freed from natural predators, multiply rapidly, their populations swelling beyond previous limits. This explosion of invertebrate life can overwhelm native plants and disrupt pollination networks, further complicating the ecological balance. Over time, these subtle shifts accumulate, transforming the landscape in ways that are both gradual and profound, altering water flow, vegetation patterns, and the very identity of the Everglades. Gap 1.5s. The Burmese python is not merely an invader, it has become a dominant force, reshaping the Everglades from within, its presence felt in every corner of the ecosystem. For every species lost, for every behavioral shift, the ripple effect intensifies, spreading outward, altering relationships and redefining survival strategies across the food web. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting golden light across the wild expanse, the ongoing struggle for equilibrium continues, unseen by most, but relentless and unyielding. In the gathering twilight, animals move cautiously through the shadows, each interaction a delicate negotiation in a world forever changed by the python's presence. Deep within the heart of Florida's wilderness, the balance of life is being rewritten, one ripple at a time. Gap 2s. In the shadowy expanse of the Everglades, the Burmese python glides through the undergrowth like a living enigma, its patterned scales merging seamlessly with the tangled vegetation, rendering it nearly invisible to the untrained eye. To unravel the secrets of this elusive invader, scientists must rely on a suite of advanced tracking techniques, each designed to pierce the python's natural camouflage and reveal its hidden world. Gap 1.5s. The pursuit begins with technology, sophisticated tools that transform the vast, impenetrable wetlands into a landscape of data and discovery. Drones equipped with thermal imaging soar above the sawgrass, their sensors attuned to the faintest signatures of heat radiating from cold-blooded bodies hidden below. From this aerial vantage, the python's subtle undulations, imperceptible to human observers, are rendered as glowing trails, betraying the snake's passage through the reeds and marshes. Gap 1.5s. On the ground, researchers wield radiotelemetry receivers, scanning for the faint electronic pulses emitted by transmitters hidden beneath the python's scales. These transmitters, surgically implanted with precision, transform the python into an unwitting beacon, each movement, each pause, each hunt silently recorded and relayed. Biologists follow the rhythmic beeps through dense thickets and flooded sloughs, mapping the python's intricate routes as it navigates a labyrinth of microhabitats. The resulting data reveals a tapestry of behaviours, where the snakes hunt, how they evade detection, and the secret refuges they favour during the heat of the day or the chill of night. Gap 1.5s. Along the water's edge and animal trails, camera traps stand sentinel, their lenses poised to capture the python's rare appearances. Triggered by the slightest motion, these cameras freeze moments in time. Fleeting glimpses of patterned scales gliding through moonlit grass, or a sudden flash illuminating a serpentine silhouette. Each image becomes a vital clue, contributing to a growing mosaic that chronicles the python's habits, movements, and seasonal rhythms across weeks and months. Gap 1.5s. Scientists also turn to the invisible world of environmental DNA, or eDNA, extracting genetic traces from the very waters the pythons traverse. By analysing water samples, researchers detect microscopic fragments of python skin or waste, evidence of the snake's presence, even when it remains unseen by any camera or observer. Gap 1.5s. In the laboratory, these genetic traces are decoded, revealing not only the presence of pythons, but also their relationships and origins. DNA from shed skins and eDNA samples allows scientists to reconstruct family trees, trace migration routes, and monitor the genetic health of the expanding population. Critical insights for anticipating future spread. Gap 1.5s. Among the most ingenious tools are the so-called Judas snakes, individuals fitted with powerful transmitters and released to blend back into the wild. During breeding season, these tagged pythons instinctively seek out others, inadvertently guiding researchers to hidden aggregations and breeding hotspots deep within the wetlands. The convergence of multiple tracking paths on digital maps reveals the python's social dynamics and uncovers critical locations for targeted removal efforts. Gap 1.5s. Through the synergy of these methods, the python's world, once shrouded in secrecy, emerges in vivid detail, each layer of technology peeling back the Everglades' natural disguise. Every technique adds a unique piece to the puzzle, gradually assembling a comprehensive portrait of how pythons survive, adapt, and reshape the ecosystem they now inhabit. The process is painstaking and demands relentless attention to detail, but with each new discovery, scientists move closer to understanding and ultimately managing one of Florida's most formidable and mysterious predators. Gap 2s. As Burmese pythons tighten their grip on the Everglades, a silent but fierce contest unfolds beneath the tangled canopy and among the flooded sawgrass. Here, the struggle is not only for prey, but for the very right to survive and dominate. For the native predators of these wetlands, the python's rise is an existential threat, one that creeps through the undergrowth, challenging their ancient roles and rewriting the rules of survival. Gap 1.5s. The Florida panther, once the undisputed apex predator, now prowls a landscape transformed. Its keen senses are on high alert, every step measured as it navigates shrinking territory and vanishing prey. Animated overlays reveal the relentless contraction of the panther's domain, as python populations surge and encroach upon traditional hunting grounds. With rabbits, raccoons and opossums disappearing from the marshes, the panther is forced to roam farther, burning precious energy in a desperate search for sustenance. Each empty glade is a testament to the python's impact. The panther's wary gaze, captured in close-up, fades into the haunting silence of deserted wetlands, an unspoken chronicle of lost abundance. Gap 1.5s. Alligators, too, sense the shifting balance. Once unchallenged, they now face a new and unpredictable competitor. In rare but dramatic encounters, camera trap footage reveals young alligators succumbing to the python's crushing coils, an unprecedented reversal in the Everglades hierarchy. Elsewhere, night vision sequences capture tense standoffs at the water's edge, where ancient instincts collide with the python's relentless advance. For centuries, the alligator reigned supreme, its armoured form gliding through the swamps, a symbol of untamed power. Now it must contend with a rival that moves unseen, striking with precision and swallowing prey whole, an adversary that challenges even the most formidable native hunters. Gap 1.5s. The bobcat, agile and elusive, and the red fox, ever resourceful, are not spared from this upheaval. Their sharp senses and cunning are tested as prey becomes scarce and competition intensifies. Animated food web graphics reveal the cascading effects. Declining small mammal populations leave these predators with dwindling choices, forcing them to adapt or face starvation. Some, driven by hunger, risk scavenging python kills, venturing close to the very invader that has upended their world and exposing themselves to new dangers. Gap 1.5s. Sweeping aerial views reveal a landscape in flux. Fragmented habitats, altered waterways, and the subtle scars of ecological upheaval. The intricate choreography between predator and prey is thrown into chaos. Animals move unpredictably, their routines disrupted, their survival strategies tested as never before. Night vision imagery follows the panther and bobcat as they navigate uncertain terrain, their movements cautious, their instincts challenged by a world transformed. Gap 1.5s. Scientists, equipped with advanced monitoring tools, track these changes with mounting concern, documenting shifts in animal behavior and population dynamics. Data visualizations chart the alarming decline of native predators, while animated overlays trace the python's relentless expansion across the Everglades. For the panther, the alligator, and countless others, adaptation is no longer a choice. It is a daily battle for survival, waged against both the python and a rapidly changing environment. Gap 1.5s. The Everglades, though still wild and untamed, now bears the marks of upheaval. Shifts in animal populations are visible from above, a living map of change. In this new era, native predators confront a relentless adversary. Some are forced to retreat, others to adapt in ways never before seen, all under the shadow of possible extinction. Their ongoing struggle is a stark reminder. In nature, balance is delicate, and every invader leaves a mark that ripples through the web of life, forever altering the fate of those who call the Everglades home. Gap 2s. As the python invasion ripples through the Everglades, the ecosystem does not simply yield. Instead, it orchestrates a subtle, intricate countermove, an ongoing ballet of adaptation, resilience and transformation that unfolds beneath the surface of this ancient wetland. Adaptation is nature's oldest strategy. Here, every species, predator and prey alike, redefines its place in the shifting tapestry, responding to new threats and opportunities with remarkable ingenuity. Gap 1.5s. The camera glides through dense sawgrass, where a marsh rabbit, once exposed and vulnerable, now navigates a labyrinth of cover, its movements dictated by the ever-present risk of predation. Each step is calculated, every pause a testament to learned caution. Overhead, a hawk wheels in the sky, its keen eyes scanning for subtle shifts below. The raptor's flight path is no longer routine. It adapts to the unpredictable patterns of prey, which now move under deeper cover and at different hours, evading both native and invasive hunters. Gap 1.5s. Beneath the water's surface, a new dynamic emerges. Fish populations surge in pockets where turtles and raccoons, once prolific egg predators, have dwindled, their numbers suppressed by the python's relentless appetite. Animated infographics trace these population shifts, revealing a food web in flux. As egg-eating predators decline, amphibians and fish rebound, their numbers swelling in a delicate, temporary equilibrium that reverberates through every layer of the ecosystem. Gap 1.5s. Time-lapse imagery reveals herons and egrets reclaiming nesting grounds once abandoned. Freed from the constant threat of mammalian nest raiders, these wading birds seize the opportunity to expand their colonies, their presence a sign of nature's opportunistic resilience. In the safety of dense reeds, chicks thrive. Their survival rates climb, each fledgling a symbol of adaptation's quiet victory amid upheaval. Animated maps chart the spread of these new nesting sites, tracing the cautious expansion of bird populations into territories once dominated by mammals. each dot a testament to the ecosystem's shifting balance. Gap 1.5s. In the shadowed undergrowth, bobcats demonstrate remarkable behavioral shifts. They track the scent trails of pythons, not as prey, but as guides to abandoned kills, turning the invader's presence into a new resource. A split screen reveals a bobcat approaching python leftovers with heightened vigilance, its senses attuned to danger. This scavenging behavior, once rare, now becomes a vital survival tactic. Digital overlays track the bobcat's nocturnal journeys, mapping expanded territories and altered routines. The data reveals a predator in transition, adapting to a landscape transformed by the python's shadow. Gap 1.5s. Even the plant life responds to the new order. Time-lapse sequences show saplings surging upward, their growth unchecked by the browsing of vanished herbivores. Fast-growing species proliferate, weaving dense thickets where sunlight once reached the forest floor. The unchecked spread of these plants hints at future changes, altering habitats, reshaping the very structure of the wetland. Drone footage sweeps across this transformed landscape, revealing a tapestry of green, lush, tangled, and evolving. These changes, though subtle now, may echo for generations, rewriting the Everglades' ecological script. Gap 1.5s. Animated food web graphics pulse with shifting connections, each line representing a new relationship, a lost link, or an emerging alliance. The ecosystem is in constant negotiation, its balance never static. The Everglades is a living network, dynamic, responsive, and resilient. Here, predators, prey, and plants interact in a perpetual dance, each adapting to the pressures and possibilities of a changed world. Gap 1.5s. As golden sunlight pierces the cypress canopy, the pace of change slows but never ceases. Every ray illuminates a story of adaptation, of life persisting, adjusting, and enduring. In this ongoing contest between invader and native, adaptation is both a promise and a gamble. Each species, from the stealthy python to the wary bobcat, navigates a landscape of uncertainty, forging new paths to survival. The future of the Everglades will be shaped not by a single species, but by the collective resilience of its inhabitants and the land itself, each adapting, each enduring, in a world forever transformed by the python's arrival. Gap 2s. The story of the Everglades is far from over. As dusk settles over the wetlands, the landscape stands as a testament to both the challenges and the possibilities that lie ahead. The next chapters will be written by the combined force of scientific innovation and the enduring resilience of nature itself. As the sun dips below the horizon, a sweeping aerial view reveals the vast interconnected waterways, each channel and marsh a living laboratory for the future of ecological restoration. Gap 1.5s. Advanced simulation models overlay the landscape, projecting python population trajectories under a spectrum of management strategies. These digital forecasts allow scientists to anticipate outcomes, refine interventions, and adapt in real time. Animated data points ripple across the Everglades, illustrating the stark contrast between unmanaged proliferation, current containment efforts, and the promise of next-generation solutions. Gap 1.5s. The camera glides over a network of solar-powered, remotely monitored python traps, seamlessly integrated into the environment. These autonomous systems operate around the clock, reducing human disturbance while maximizing efficiency. Infographics pulse with real-time data, as artificial intelligence pinpoints python hotspots. Machine learning algorithms analyze environmental cues, seasonal patterns, and movement data, directing removal teams with unprecedented precision. Gap 1.5s. Thermal imaging sweeps across dense underbrush, revealing the elusive invaders. This technology enables detection even in the most inaccessible terrain, transforming the search for pythons into a science-driven pursuit. Digital pulses radiate across the nighttime landscape, representing a network of motion sensors and acoustic monitors. These silent sentinels track movement and vocalizations, mapping the nocturnal activities of invasive species. The narration synchronizes with dynamic maps, updating in real time, visualizing shifting python populations and the immediate impact of intervention strategies. Gap 1.5s. Animation delves into the molecular realm, where genetic research is unlocking new frontiers. Scientists are engineering pheromone traps and exploring gene drives, biological controls designed to disrupt python reproduction while safeguarding native species. Molecular models and DNA helices unfurl against the Everglades night, symbolizing both the promise and the ethical complexities of genetic intervention. Each breakthrough is weighed against the imperative to preserve ecological integrity. Gap 1.5s. The camera lingers on a revitalized marsh where alligators, bobcats and herons tentatively reclaim their ancestral habitat. Restoration is gradual, but every return signals a step toward ecological balance. Side-by-side infographics compare projected biodiversity under different management regimes. The contrast is stark. Aggressive intervention preserves a vibrant mosaic of life, while inaction risks irreversible loss. Gap 1.5s. As dawn breaks, mist rises from the marshes, bathing the Everglades in soft light. The new day hints at renewal and the enduring potential for recovery. A flock of egrets and ibis takes flight, their silhouettes etched against the morning sky, a living emblem of hope and the ongoing quest for harmony. The future arsenal is diverse. Artificial intelligence, genetic tools, and the resurgence of native predators like the black bear and panther, all converging to restore balance to this unique ecosystem. Gap 2s. The struggle for the Everglades transcends the removal of a single species. It is a complex, ongoing negotiation between invasive threats and the resilience of native life. The path forward is forged at the intersection of technology, science, and nature's adaptability. Here, innovation and ecological wisdom unite, shaping the destiny of an ecosystem that continues to inspire and endure. Gap 2s. As the sun climbs higher over the Everglades, the focus narrows, moving from the grand sweep of restoration to the intimate, often invisible dramas unfolding among native species. A slow pan across the sawgrass reveals a white-tailed deer fawn, its ears flicking at the slightest rustle. The narration traces the ripple effects of python predation, beginning with the deer. Motion-triggered trail cameras capture the nocturnal movements of these herbivores, once abundant, now hauntingly scarce in python-dense regions. Animated population graphs fade in, a stark downward slope reflecting the years since pythons first took hold. Gap 1.5s. The camera shifts to the water's edge, where raccoons and opossums once foraged freely. Infrared footage reveals empty shorelines under moonlight, a silent testament to their decline. Overlays of historical range maps shrink with each passing decade, the boundaries of survival receding. The narration highlights how the loss of these small mammals ripples outward, reducing the prey base for native predators and disrupting the delicate balance of scavenging and seed dispersal. Gap 1/2. Next, The camera dives beneath the surface, following a river otter weaving through submerged roots. Otters, too, have become rarer, their playful wakes replaced by stillness. Data visualizations reveal a drop in sightings, tightly correlated with python hotspots. The narration explains how the absence of mid-sized mammals can lead to algal blooms and changes in plant communities as the natural checks and balances unravel. Gap 1.5. An aerial view sweeps over tree islands where the endangered woodstork nests. Animated overlays show nesting success rates plummeting, linked to the loss of eggs and chicks, easy prey for hungry pythons. Close-ups of abandoned nests underscore the silent toll on the next generation of birds. The narration draws a direct line from python predation to cascading effects throughout the food web, impacting everything from insect populations to nutrient cycling. Gap 1.5. As the sequence unfolds, the narration remains grounded in the science, each statistic and visual anchored in field research and peer-reviewed studies. The visuals synchronize with the commentary population charts pulse as species are mentioned, and heat maps of python activity overlay areas of greatest decline. Gap 1.5. The chapter closes on a hopeful note. A time-lapse shows a marsh slowly rebounding after intensive python removal, with raccoons, deer and wading birds returning in cautious numbers. The narration emphasizes that while the scars of predation are deep, nature's capacity for renewal endures if given the chance. The python's legacy is still being written, etched in the lives of every species it has touched. But with vigilance and innovation, the Everglades may yet reclaim its vibrant tapestry of life. Gap 2s. Gap 2s. In the quiet heart of the Everglades, a new story is unfolding, one written not just in loss, but in resilience. As Burmese pythons tighten their grip, native prey species are beginning to rewrite the rules of survival. Gap 1.5s. The camera glides low over a cluster of marsh rabbits, their fur dappled by shifting sunlight. Once easy targets, these rabbits now display heightened wariness, moving in erratic zigzag patterns rather than the predictable trails they once favoured. Thermal imaging reveals their new preference for dense, tangled cover, where a python's approach is harder to mask. The narration explains. Recent field studies show that rabbits in python-heavy zones emerge less frequently and, for shorter periods, minimizing exposure. Gap 1.5s. Next, a split-screen visual contrasts the foraging behavior of raccoons in python-free versus python-invaded territories. In python hotspots, raccoons forage in tight groups, their heads swiveling constantly, ears attuned to the faintest rustle. Overhead, a drone shot captures these tight-knit formations, an evolved vigilance honed by generations of predation pressure. The narration highlights new research suggesting that these behavioral shifts are passed down, with younger raccoons mimicking the caution of their elders. Gap 1.5s. Underwater, the lens follows a muskrat as it navigates a labyrinth of submerged roots. Infrared overlays show how these rodents have shifted their burrow entrances, now building deeper and with more escape tunnels. The narration details how scientists have mapped these architectural changes, linking them directly to python presence. Gap 1.5s. In the canopy above, a flock of ibis takes flight at the slightest disturbance. High-speed footage slows time, revealing the split-second decision-making that now defines their every move. The narration draws on recent studies. Birds nesting in python-prone areas are laying eggs earlier in the season when python activity is lower and choosing sites farther from known python trails. Gap 1.5s. Animated heat maps pulse, showing how prey movement patterns have shifted over time, carving out new safe zones and re-establishing microhabitats that offer fleeting refuges. The narration underscores that these changes are not random. They represent a collective adaptation, a silent arms race unfolding at the edge of extinction. Gap 1.5s. The chapter closes as dusk falls over the wetlands. Night vision captures a marsh rabbit pausing, ears perked, before vanishing into the reeds. The narration offers a measured optimism. Each adaptation is a testament to the ingenuity of life under siege. As the Everglades prey species evolve and endure, they remind us that even in the shadow of an apex invader, nature's will to survive can inspire new hope for the future. Gap 2s, Gap 1.5s. As the sun rises over the Everglades, a sprawling mosaic of water channels, sawgrass marshes and cypress domes comes into focus. The camera sweeps low across mirror-still waterways, their surfaces interrupted only by the ripples of unseen movement beneath. Here, water is more than a backdrop. It is a silent architect, shaping every life within its reach, including the Burmese python. Gap 1s. Aerial time-lapse transitions through the seasons. The wet season's swollen rivers and flooded prairies give way to the dry season's shrinking pools and exposed mudflats. With each shift, the python's strategy transforms. During the rains, underwater drone footage reveals pythons gliding effortlessly through submerged grass, their bodies undulating with the current. Narration explains, these months offer easy passage and concealment, allowing the snakes to expand their range, infiltrating new territories in search of prey. Gap 1s. As water recedes in the dry season, thermal imaging shows pythons congregating along the remaining sloughs and alligator holes. The narration details how these shrinking refugees become hotspots, dense with fish, amphibians and mammals forced into close quarters. Here, pythons exploit the bottleneck, lying in wait beneath overhanging roots or camouflaged in floating vegetation. Satellite imagery overlays map these seasonal congregation points, revealing patterns in python movement that mirror the pulse of the Everglades water. Gap 1s. Night falls, and infrared footage tracks a python's slow, deliberate journey along a dew-soaked levee. The narration synchronizes. Temperature drops and shifting humidity signal the snake to seek higher, drier ground, where prey is likewise on the move. Rainfall patterns dictate not only where pythons hunt, but also when they breed. Nest sites are chosen for elevation and proximity to receding water, ensuring hatchlings emerge into an ecosystem teeming with vulnerable young prey. Gap 1s. Animated diagrams illustrate the python's annual cycle, tightly linked to the Everglades' hydrological rhythms. The narration concludes by reading the language of water and weather. These silent hunters have become masters of adaptation, their survival entwined with the very heartbeat of the swamp. In this ever-changing landscape, it is the interplay of current and climate that scripts the next chapter in the python's relentless advance. Gap 1.5s. Under the dense canopy and tangled waterways of the Everglades, the war against the Burmese python is waged with science, strategy, and relentless determination. Aerial footage reveals teams deploying remote camera traps along hidden trails, their silent lenses capturing the passage of elusive serpents. The narration clarifies, these eyes in the wild are the first line of detection, alerting biologists to python hotspots without disturbing the landscape. Gap 1s. Animated overlays illustrate the use of radio transmitters, surgically implanted in select scout pythons. As a python slithers through the undergrowth, a digital map traces its movement, leading researchers to breeding aggregations deep within the marsh. This Judas snake method, while effective in targeting clusters, is labour-intensive and limited by the python's secretive nature. Gap 1s. The camera shifts to thermal drone sweeps at dawn, the landscape rendered in glowing hues. Warm-bodied pythons stand out against the cooler earth, allowing operators to pinpoint their locations from above. The narration notes, thermal imaging has revolutionized detection, yet dense vegetation and waterlogged terrain often mask the snake's telltale heat signatures, challenging even the most advanced technology. Gap 1s. Slow-motion footage captures trained detector dogs weaving through the sawgrass, noses to the ground. Their remarkable sense of smell can uncover hidden nests and juveniles, a crucial intervention during breeding season. The commentary continues, though highly accurate. Canine teams are limited by accessibility and the vastness of the Everglades. Gap 1s. Time-lapse sequences show egg removal operations, with gloved hands carefully extracting clutches from underground nests. Each egg destroyed is a future predator prevented, yet the narration soberly reminds thousands more remain undiscovered in remote corners of the swamp. Gap 1s. Animated infographics display removal statistics. Over 20,000 pythons captured since the early 2000s. But as the camera pans across endless marshland, the narration underscores the scale of the challenge. For every python caught, many more remain, their numbers bolstered by high reproductive rates and an ever-adaptive survival instinct. Gap 15. The scene closes on a satellite view of the Everglades at dusk, tiny markers highlighting ongoing control efforts. The narration concludes, despite innovative tactics and relentless pursuit, the python remains a formidable adversary. Each method chips away at the invader's hold, but the battle is far from over. In the struggle to restore balance, success depends on adaptation, persistence, and the continual evolution of our strategies against this silent, shadowy predator. A slow, aerial sweep glides over the heart of the Everglades. In the early morning haze, subtle changes ripple across the landscape, evidence of a new ecological order taking root beneath the surface. As the camera drifts above cypress domes and sawgrass prairies, digital overlays reveal the gradual thinning of small mammal populations. Animated silhouettes of marsh rabbits and raccoons fade from the wetlands, replaced by expanding territories of apex predators like alligators and bobcats, species now competing for dwindling resources. Moving underwater, the lens follows a wading bird's reflection. The narration explains, with fewer small mammals to prey on, wading birds increasingly turn to fish and amphibians, subtly shifting food webs and altering nutrient cycles in the marsh. Animated diagrams trace cascading effects. Fewer seed-dispersing mammals lead to patchier plant growth, while the loss of ground-nesting birds alters insect populations and soil health. The camera transitions to flooded tree islands, where ghostly time-lapse imagery captures the encroachment of invasive plants. The commentary notes, without native mammals to graze or disturb the soil, species like old-world climbing fern and melaleuca gain a foothold, threatening to smother native flora and further disrupt habitat structure. In the twilight, thermal overlays highlight python silhouettes weaving through the reeds. The narration projects forward, if unchecked, python predation could permanently suppress native prey species, reshaping the Everglades into a quieter, less diverse wilderness. Animated graphs chart predicted declines in biodiversity, while subtle color grading drains vibrancy from the scene, underscoring the gravity of these shifts. Yet, as the camera lingers on a resilient alligator basking at the water's edge, the narration offers a measured perspective. The Everglades has always been a place of adaptation and flux. While the python's presence accelerates change, the ecosystem's future will be determined by a complex interplay of resilience, intervention, and the unpredictable dance of evolution. The scene closes on a panoramic dusk, birds silhouetted in flight, distant thunder rolling over endless water. The commentary concludes, "The Everglades is transforming, its story still unfolding." The legacy of the python will echo for generations, etching new patterns into this living tapestry and challenging us to understand and ultimately shape the future of one of the world's wildest places.